Trevor Lawrence, who's been the #1 pick in this draft basically since he was in high school. It was in an interview with Sports Illustrated that came out the other day, and some of the quotes got a great deal of attention. You may have seen them. Let me highlight them here. He said, "I want people to know that I'm passionate about what I do, and it's really important to me. But I don't have this huge chip on my shoulder that everyone's out to get me, and I'm trying to prove everybody wrong. I just don't have that. I can't manufacture that. I don't want to." His father also said to Sports Illustrated, he's not award-driven. He's not, I want to win a Super Bowl at all costs. Now, I've heard a lot of perspective on this. Louis Riddick was really powerful on this with us yesterday. Paul Finebaum is one who follows the college game, and obviously you've been following Trevor Lawrence from the moment he set foot on campus at Clemson. What was your immediate reaction to those comments?
I don't think the quotes make a bit of difference, Greeny, for this reason. Look at what he's done on the field. He's been in the playoffs every year. He's played twice for a national championship, won it his first time out. So what difference does it make? And I say this as a former newspaper reporter. What difference does it make what he says to a reporter? Trevor Lawrence knows what he's all about, and he's already proven that, and he'll prove it again next season.
I understand that thinking. That was my initial thought as well. But I've heard a few other perspectives that have kind of opened my eyes to a different way of looking at it. Mike Tannenbaum, you had an interesting one with a comparison this morning in our meeting.
Yeah, it is concerning. And when you talk to GMs around the league, there is a sobering effect about what happened with Andrew Luck, a great player in the prime of his career, and he just walked away. And Trevor Lawrence, since he's been 14 years old, has just had adulation heaped on him. And a generation ago, Jimmy Johnson said, hey, I want players on my team that have no parachutes. They're going to make it in pro football or they have nothing. And really what Trevor Lawrence has, and this is not a criticism, he has a golden parachute. He doesn't have to die trying. He has everything he'll ever need. He has generational wealth. He's been incredibly successful. And that sort of juxtaposition keeps general managers up at night. Who's to say that in 4 or 5 years he doesn't pull an Andrew Luck? And teams are starting to talk about that paradigm now.
It is something to consider in this new era of football and sports as we know it. And Paul, I was going to go to Danny, but you look skeptical. Paul, go.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. And Mike, here's what I'm willing to bet. I bet Trevor Lawrence is in the NFL long after those NFL GMs that you've heard from who are losing sleep at night.
Okay, I like it. Orlovsky, go.
When I read the comments or saw them for the first time, my thought was, holy smokes. Wow, I did not expect to hear that from him. Because my immediate thought was, how can you be great? How can you be great? But something that I have certainly been reminded about over the last month or so was, number one, the tape is the tape is the tape. And always go look at the tape. And then number two, when you hear something, double, triple, and quadruple check it, okay? Now, I'm surprised that he shared those comments. That being said, he's been the guy since he was like 12 or 13 years old. And so doubt hasn't been a part of his past. He hasn't needed the chip because no one's told him you weren't going to be there, or you were going to be the guy, or you weren't going to be the great. But I want everyone respectfully to understand and read all of this article, because again, I've been reminded to go do that. In this same article, there's a conversation that is shared with Trevor Lawrence's high school coach when he brings him in there and he says, Trevor, I need a goal. Write down a goal. Give me one of your goals. And Trevor Lawrence didn't even look at him. He just looked off and said, Coach, I want to be the best to ever do it. That wasn't shared amongst some of this conversation, okay? And so while I initially heard these comments and were certainly taken aback, Trevor Lawrence also out of his mouth, not his father's mouth, not a coach's mouth, out of his mouth said, all I care about is being the best to ever do it. I've got to take him as his word. I don't need an athlete with motivation. I need an athlete who has habits. Trevor Lawrence seems to have championship habits.
I think that's right. And Paul, there's nothing I love more than psychoanalyzing people that I don't know. And so when he says things like, I don't have a chip on my shoulder, well, he's not trying to prove people wrong. He's never been doubted.
Right.
He needs to prove people right. And it's a different level of pressure. It's a different kind of pressure. It is a pressure unto itself. But there's no obvious reason, to your point, why he would have a chip on his shoulder, because no one has ever told him that he couldn't do anything.
And remember, because I've been on the other side of these interviews before, Athletes don't tell the media very much anymore. I mean, it's a game with them, just like the conversation I had yesterday with Mac Jones. I mean, he was playing to an audience way beyond me. He was talking to his head coach, Nick Saban, and to NFL head coaches around the league. Trevor Lawrence toyed with this reporter, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but Trevor's been doing this since the day we first heard of him back in Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Okay, it's well done. We'll leave it there for the moment. Again, there's a lot there. And to Dan's point, you should read the entire piece. There's a lot that's worth seeing.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.